Patreon question 2. We'll restart it because Elvira knocked the phone over.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. Who asked this question?
Hunter Armstrong asked what the worst job ever that we've had was. So the worst place that I ever worked was a Banfield Veterinary Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that was specifically because one thing I didn't like is that Banfield's obviously a corporation rather than owned by a veterinarian. And the other thing was they hired me, so I applied as a veterinary technician, but they hired me on as we'll have you cross-trained for veterinary, or, for technician and reception stuff. And then they just stuck me in reception. I had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning because I had to be there by 7:30 or 8 or whatever. One of the upper management was just a complete bitch. There were cameras everywhere, and it was one of my first jobs where I was on camera all the time.
Yeah.
Where it mattered because obviously we had cameras at the movie theater at the Anthony Wayne, but I did not care about those cameras. So they were constantly watching me and writing me up for shit, and I was just I could not stand it. And I wasn't even getting to work with the actual animals. It was not. I was just stuck in reception and fresh in the morning, and that is not my vibe. So that's probably the worst job I've ever had.
Okay, mine. I think people can guess what my worst job ever was.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh my fucking god! You know what? I'm going to answer first.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Last question from Hunter Armstrong. Any thoughts on Russ Meyer films? They're such weird, surreal movies.
I have many thoughts on Russ Meyer. Russ Meyer is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Anybody who knows anything I've ever made or tried to make is obviously Russ Meyer is part of the DNA. He was the director of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill, Up, Mudhoney, stuff like that. He was a genius, fucking flat out a genius. He delivered Mondo Topless. He had a thing for women with giant breasts.
I mean,
right? But he made movies about kick-ass women with big old titties. He was a war. He was a filmmaker during the war. Made government movies and stuff like that. But once he had his chance, he was doing the nudie cutie movies. When he got his chance, Faster Pussycat is literally one of the greatest American drive-in movies, if not one of the greatest American movies ever made. Introduced us to Tora Satana. Now he's one of a dude who just fucking cracked the code.
Yeah.
There's a great picture that I keep in my phone of him laying on the ground with the camera. There's this beautiful buxom woman on top of him to get the shot that he needs. And I was like, that fucking dude figured it out.
Yeah.
But he made transgressive, weird, counterculture movies. And he Beyond the Valley of the Dolls was written by Roger Ebert, who would go on to be one of the greatest film critics of all time. He introduced Roger Ebert into the world of drugs and big old titties and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
You look at something like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and you realize just how transgressive it is. It's quoted in Austin Powers, it's my happening and it freaks me out. Z-Man and all that. Russ Meyer is one of my fucking heroes. He's up there with an Ed Wood and stuff like that, of just independent filmmakers who went out and made films their way. At one point, the Sex Pistols came to him because he was going to make a movie with them called Who Killed Bambi, before the Sex Pistols manager fucked him over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, just the dude he got it, and he lived making the types of movies that he wanted to make, and there's something in every one of them, even in the lesser stuff, that is just so different. And he, even though he was making dirty movies, he didn't care about the gynecological aspects of it. He was just more interested in cars and tits and big men being emasculated by women. There's something Freudian to everything that he did. But Russ Meyer is one of those filmmakers that I could talk about for fucking ever, so yeah.
That's excellent. Alright, sorry, let me pull up.
Yep.
I did see Faster Pussycat. You played that as one
Yes,
of the cult
yep,
movies in the lane. That was very good. Okay, just double checking I didn't miss anything. Okay. Last from it says Adam and Rachel White, but I think you mentioned Rachel doesn't watch the channel, so it should just be Adam. How about your favorite 80s schlock action movies?
Ooh. So the 80s were a wonderful time for action schlock. The ninja movie, be it a Canon film, who did the American Ninja movies, or Enter the Ninja, where fucking Franco Nero plays a Texan who's also a ninja, which I was like, what the fuck, but it introduced us to people like Cynthia Rothrock. Cynthia Rothrock is fucking incredible, Undefeatable is so fucking cool. It's just one of those things where you had this wave of action movies that came out that were all trying to kind of be in the vein of the Hollywood stuff, but be their own thing at the same time.
Yeah.
You go below. If you go below, you have Schwarzenegger and Stallone at the top, and you get below that and do it like a Van Damme, and then do a Chuck Norris, and and stuff like that, and do a Seagal at the most. But then you can get to weird shit like Andy Sedaris stuff. I think we watched Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Yes.
Andy Sedaris was doing the same thing that Russ Meyer was doing. Big old titties and action. And then you get the action movies with the Rambo ripoffs, oh god, what is there's an Italian one with a guy who's supposed to be Native American, but he was the dude from 1990 Bronx Warrior. That were doing Rambo ripoff, but with a Native American trend. Thunder something or other, I don't remember. But yeah, you get the Russ Meyer, the Cynthia Rothrock movies, and you get the Samurai Cop, and it was just a time because they had to fill the video store shelves, where there was just all this shit that was coming out. And as a kid who had access to a video store and had access to cable, I was just sucking this shit in, because when it, yes, I'm a massive horror fan, but you're never going to turn down explosions and fighting and gunfire and stuff like that. So you're going to have your Terminator ripoffs, you're going to have your Lethal Weapon ripoffs and stuff like that. The 80s were fucking great, man. And the video store era just introduced us to so many people, so many actors that in other ways wouldn't be remembered, but kids my age who are now sad grown adults, we remember these things because we remember oh yeah, fucking there was squibs going off, and there was scenes in strip clubs, and there was dudes getting their arms ripped off, and there was fucking helicopters and all that shit. So yeah, the 80s when it came to action, because everybody was trying to do the Stallone and Schwarzenegger thing, but on a budget, it gave us so much cool shit that we just don't have anymore. So yeah, I hope that answered that question.
All right, that was the last of our
That was the last of our questions. All right, so those were our Patreon questions. Keep them coming next time, and we will do more. So yeah, thanks guys.
Hell yeah.